Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Between Raindrops, presented as a part of the 2023 Capital Fringe Festival. We're so happy to have you here. Please be aware that the show does contain some loud noises, but not too loud. And please stick around after the show for conversation about the play's subject matter. Now please sit back, relax, and enjoy Between Raindrops.
New year, January. Everything's so fresh and new. A fresh start. No time yet to be disappointed or feel badly about the things I haven't figured out or done. All hope and possibility and potential. It's the worst. I mean, that sounds terrible, right? Suppose I should be more optimistic. My sister Edith tells me that almost daily. She's the sunny one in the family, though. Come March, she loves spotting the crocuses sprouting up while there's still frost on the dirt around them. But that's Edith for you. She loves the flowers, and I love the rain that makes them grow. She says that's depressing of me to say, but you tell me what's more morbid. Flowers that we watch wither and die and get trampled on, or the rain that just fades nicely into the sky.
Leah, I have been looking everywhere for you.
I'm right here the whole time, Edie.
I swear, somehow this house feels too small for all of us, and yet too big at the same time.
I live in Washington, D.C. with my family, Edith, and her husband and their son. And later this year, their new son or daughter, too. We, lost our parents 2 years ago this spring to the Spanish flu. We miss them terribly, and we're lucky they left us with enough savings to keep the house we grew up in. You're luckier than most have been. Edith's husband is a businessman, and I write. I mean, sorta. It's not really a job yet. Sometimes the local paper will run my column, but they think it's written by Lester Moore, not Leah Hart. You think they would have figured it out by now, but sometimes less really is not more. What is it?
Sam is downstairs. Don't keep him waiting. I mean, not more than you already are.
Extra, extra! Read all about it. Extra, extra! Read all about it. Extra, extra. Read all about it. Yeah, that wouldn't buy for me either.
Good Lord, Theo. Could you be any more of a cliche?
Oh, I could, but then you'd never be my friend, Daisy.
Not possible. Hey, did you hear? The newest Garbo picture is coming to the theater next week. She's my favorite. She's so elegant and expressive.
You're just as good.
Don't be silly.
Well, what's silly? I mean, you see every film that comes through the Knickerbocker as many times as they'll let you.
It's my job.
To clean up after the paying ticket holders, not to study every frame of every film like there's going to be a test about it later.
I just love them is all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You've got the talent. You've got the passion. Hollywood would be lucky to have you.
Even if I could save up to move all the way out there, I could never leave Washington. Every corner reminds me of William.
Your brother would want you to pursue your dreams, Daisy.
It's true. We just always talked about moving out west together. He got sick so fast.
I know.
Maybe someday, though.
Someday sounds good.
What's the news, T?
Washington Senators win with record fan support.
I don't think any senators really have fans.
I meant the baseball team.
They don't have any either. Is that all you got for me?
Well, that depends. You got an assignment for me, Mr. Daly?
You know I don't make assignments. Even for people who have actually jobs at the paper, I don't even assign things for myself.
Well, my offer still stands. Apprentice to the Post theater reporter.
That's not a thing. And do me a favor, stop saying theater reporter with such reverence. It only reminds me that I've accepted my fate of writing sentences like, the lovely leading lady's eyes sparkle with the stars from across the universe for the rest of my career.
That's not half bad.
Well, you don't need a paper to see how fast the snow is coming down.
Yeah, it looks like it could top out at over a foot. All the other guys went home, but I'm still here, you know.
I see what you want me to say.
Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom, as they say, can keep me away.
I thought you wanted to be a reporter, not a mailman, or perhaps a poet.
It's actually a common misconception that's the Postal Service's motto. Isn't that interesting? It's originally from the ancient Greek historian Herodotus describing the couriers in the old Persian Empire. Then they went and inscribed it in the post office building in New York City, and now everyone thinks it's a real slogan.
Well, you've certainly done your homework!
Well, I have a lot of downtime these days to read the papers in my bag. Sometimes a book or two from the library. You know, most folks believe that Benjamin Franklin founded the first American library, but actually there are two more.
Theo!
What?
Meet me tonight at the theater. Maybe I can use a little help with my review after all. You can have the money I save from walking instead of taking the taxi the Post pays for.
So that's why I always see you walking all over the city.
Is that a yes?
You won't regret this, Mr. Daly. I'll be the best apprentice.
Theo, stop!
Okay?
Stop!
Okay. I'll see you there. Hey, did you know that Harvard created the first library card catalog in 1840? Not a lot of people know that.
Go sell some papers, kid.
Only because you assigned me to.
When I told my father I was setting out to be a sports reporter, he hit the roof. What was all that time studying the mechanics of engineering just so you can be a monkey on a typewriter recounting sporting stats? I tried to tell him there's a lot more engineering and reporting than he knew. Taking a story apart, putting it back together, making it work, it made sense to me. I had the brains for engineering, but not the heart, you know? He didn't know or didn't care. I've never seen him so angry. No son of mine is gonna be a newspaper man. Truth is, I think I wanted to fail at the paper. I wanted to fail so I could go back to my engineering professors at Catholic, tail between my legs, and ask them to help me get a job, knowing that forever it was the one thing I could do, never having to wonder, what if? But like the kid said, I wasn't half bad. I took some assignments reviewing plays and films, and the next thing I knew, I had my own regular review column. And I make sure to get a sense of the show from every angle, including the cheap seats.
Have you given it more thought?
Yes, I have given it so much thought. I have weighed the pros and the cons, the pluses and the minuses. I have weighed every reason for and against, and Sam, I have to tell you, you should wear the gray coat more often.
Be serious. Be honest.
I am being serious. I seriously hate the brown one. See, I never told you that, and now I'm being honest. I'm sorry I kept that from you, but boy does it feel good to get that off my chest.
So you don't love me enough to marry me?
There is no enough. You know I love you, it's just when I start thinking—
If you love someone, there's nothing else to say.
There is for me. I have so much left to say, I don't know where to begin or where I'll end up. Isn't that exciting, Sam? After all these years of fear and uncertainty, I don't want to stay cooped up on purpose.
Did you just compare our hypothetical marriage to the Spanish flu? Ouch.
This is why I prefer the pen, I'm always saying the wrong thing, but perhaps I could write you a letter.
I don't want a letter. I want a yes. We did not survive the worst just to go in and fritter our lives away.
You think writing, a career, travel, that's frittering my life away?
It is if it comes at the cost of the people that you love.
Well, I guess that's the difference between you and me, Sam. It's possible for me to love you and not know if I want to marry you because I love you. I would be the world's worst wife.
Not possible.
I don't know how to sew. Cooking gives me hives. And the thought of having a baby, it's all so big and scary.
Well, then we'll get a really small baby. One that's hardly scary at all.
Sam,
I love you, Leah.
I know.
Sam, coming to the film tonight.
Nico, didn't see you there.
Everything all right?
Just a lot on my mind. But yes, Lee and I will be there tonight. Say, weren't you there all week? I mean, you must have earned a single night off.
Yeah, tonight is my night off. You're right. But Stanley, his wife, had a new baby girl, and he asked for the evening off, and I can't argue with that. And besides, I'd probably be playing music at home anyway.
Well, then we're delighted to see you play again tonight. You know, I don't think I've ever met a man who loved anything more than he loved to play that fiddle.
It's technically it's a violin. A fiddle has a wider neck for fast. You know what? Never mind.
You love what you love.
Yeah,
Which
well,
I can understand.
I'm never happier than just pulling my bow across some violin strings. I think anyone who isn't a musician must be kidding. Well, say hello after the show.
Of course.
Nico! I don't think I've ever seen you without that thing in tow.
Oh, well, you know what they say, Helen. Keep what you love most where you can see it.
Who says that?
I do, apparently. When am I going to convince you to bring that beautiful soprano voice of yours to our stage?
Well, you can keep asking, but my answer hasn't changed.
Well, I hope those kids appreciate the quality that you bring to singing campfire tunes with them.
Those kids are the Girl Scouts of America. I'm shaping the next generation of strong young ladies. We do more than just sing around a campfire, you know?
I know, and I see how much you love working with them. They're real lucky to have you as their leader.
Just like the Knicker Orchestra's lucky to have you as theirs.
You're too kind.
And you are going to be late if I don't let you go.
I'm going. But I actually have an extra ticket tonight for the film if you're interested in taking it.
Huh. Well, I was supposed to go out tonight with my boyfriend, Victor.
Oh, okay.
But we had a bit of a spat earlier, so he's not coming around after all. The responsible thing would be to go home, work on my lesson plans for the Scouts, perhaps read, reflect, go to bed early. That'd be terrific, Nico. Thank you. I'll see you after the show.
Bye.
More than 18 inches of snowfall. It's still going. Perhaps we can go ice skating again in Rock Creek Park tomorrow.
Sam, have you seen the snow outside? It's beautiful.
So it is. But perhaps we should postpone our plans. It might be a bit of a mess by the time we're coming home from the theater.
Don't be ridiculous. It's just a little bit. And besides, snow will be rain again before you know it.
What a ridiculous saying.
And yet you have committed it to memory, Edie.
I hate it when you call me that.
And I hate it when you let me take my sweet nephew to the movies, but we've all got our crosses to bear.
He would love to go with you too. It's just so dark out already, and this snow might have already hit a new city record. It looks really heavy.
We'll take him to the National Zoo next week.
Oh, I don't think Congress is back in session yet.
The actual zoo, Leah? With animals?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I'll meet you downstairs.
Just be careful. It doesn't look safe out there. It's really...
Edith, I always think, look at the snow. Have you ever seen snow so lovely?
Perhaps I haven't.
Hundreds, dead or injured, buried under ruins as roof of Knickerbocker Theatre collapses. Rescuers battle storm that paralyzes city is the headline of the Post the next day.
Bodies of 25 victims recovered, 55 wounded dragged from debris. Frantic search for 8 missing.
But it's so much more than 8.
Or 25.
Or 55.
133. That's how many are ultimately counted among the injured from the theater collapsing on top of them.
And 98 dead.
It feels like more.
It feels impossible to quantify.
It just feels impossible. But it's not. It's what happened.
I was sitting in an aisle seat in one of the back rows. The ceiling started to split in two, and I raced to the lobby without even thinking. I watched as the roof crashed down right in front of me, taking the balcony with it. I was just so...
frozen. We're all just... frozen.
If you had told me the day before that it was possible to stand in the lobby of a building and not get hit by an entire roof collapsing, I never would have believed you. But that's what happened. That damn cheap seat saved my life.
They say the snow was too much for the roof of the theater. And when the roof caved in onto a balcony of people, it was just too much. All too much.
One of the other theater cleaners took my shift that night. He said the storm was too much for a girl with holes in her shoes. They say he dragged 4 people to safety before anyone noticed the shards of glass in his side. They say he must have been in shock and didn't feel any pain until it was too late.
A woman trapped under debris actually sings to help guide rescuers to her and some other survivors. They say her voice rang out like glass chimes across the piles of rubble.
A few months later, future First Lady Lou Henry Hoover presents me with the Bronze Cross for courage. I invite my scouts to attend the ceremony with me in the White House Rose Garden. Sharing it with them made it feel brighter. I continue working with the scouts for the rest of my blessedly long life, which I share with my husband, Victor.
Some of the survivors have injuries so severe they can't be moved very far. And so nearby churches and shops transform into makeshift hospitals that allow doctors and nurses to treat them as quickly as possible. The snow and ice from the record-breaking storm is still a factor too, making it even harder to treat everyone's injuries.
After hours of doing whatever I can to help, I make my way back to the post headquarters downtown, where I type the rest of the evening. There was a gust of wind, a rushing of air that blew open the closed doors of the theater. And then, after one concerted groan, there was silence. In Crandall's Knickerbocker Theatre, previously the Temple of Mirth, had transformed into a tomb. In the end, I submit a 5,000-word article that runs the next day, and I continue to cover the Knickerbocker disaster in the days to come. Suddenly, several papers and news organizations want me, but I stay with the Post at least for the next few years. And even after leaving the Post, I returned home there in 1929. It's my home now. My wife and I, we go on to have 7 children, 20 grandchildren, and more than 30 grandchildren, many who are in media, including the Post itself.
The store across the street turns into an emergency call center, even with only the one phone. Some are messages of grief, but some are messages of joy, assurances that they are okay and trying to get back home.
But that doesn't diminish the losses. Like a young woman leaving behind her family, including her sister and Sam.
The first chair violinist of the Knickerbocker's orchestra.
And a young newspaper boy who would have made an extraordinary reporter.
Later, my sister names her daughter Laura, but accidentally calls her Leah sometimes. No one has the heart to correct her. Maybe nobody wants to. For the rest of her life, Edith cries every time it snows. Sam throws himself into his work. He never forgives himself, as if he had to drag me to the theater that night. I sat down first. He was putting the coats away. That's the only reason he survived, and I didn't. I wish I could tell him that I love him. I wish I could tell him that the difference between him and me that night was nobody's fault. It's just what happened. An infinitesimal moment, small as the space between raindrops. As winter thaws, Edith finds stacks and stacks of my writing. She takes them to Mr. Daly to have them published, under my name this time. It's not the publishing of the words that matters, it's that she read them.
In the immediate aftermath of the building collapse, a U.S. Army major is brought in to bring order to the rescue and recovery efforts. General George Patton would go on to be quite famous, commanding an army in Europe during the Second World War.
Not working that night saved my life in more ways than one. 3 weeks later, I buy the cheapest train ticket possible to Chicago. I live and work there for a few months, saving up to get the rest of the way to Los Angeles. Every time I have felt afraid or unsure after leaving the only home I've ever known, I think about what Theo told me that day. A day that was supposed to feel like any other. That my brother would want me to do this, even without him. I think Theo was right. Being on film sets is even more magical than I ever could have imagined. So far, I'm just standing in while they stage the shots for the real actresses. but it's worth it. Maybe soon I'll meet Ms. Garbo herself. Oh, I wish I could tell Theo all about it. He would have so much to say, and I wish I could hear that too. Theo would have made an excellent theater reporter. I should have told him that more often. Sometimes I jump at loud noises, though. The crew assumes I'm just not used to being on a big film set yet. Someday I'll tell them. Maybe.
In 1927, the Knickerbocker's architect takes his own life.
A decade later, its owner does the same. I'm afraid they'll never move on, but also,
But being forgotten.
yes.
Maybe one day they'll write a book.
Or a play.
Or film.
That's so dark.
It would be poetic. You'd like it if it had music.
Or just music, a record.
Leah, you were right. The rain is beautiful. Oh, Leah. Have you ever seen such lovely rain?
I have just a minute of thank yous before we have a 15-minute talk back with two of our actors and a special guest. Oh boy, luckily I wrote a script for it. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Cutler. Writing and directing and co-producing between Raindrops has been such a creative journey and labor of